Okay. So, how do I start this? Okay. So a little bit ago, I posted a video called Could Light Yagami Beat Homelander? It was just a video of me kind of rambling, and I gave the audio to my buddy Zeron Blaster, and he edited it into something hilarious. And I really like that video, so I decided I'm gonna make more. Make more little rambly videos, just me talking, just me yapping, and he can put some funny visuals to it.
Fuck you, whore!
And turn it into something watchable. So this one is going to be something, it's going to be about a topic that I feel very passionate about, and that nobody else cares about. And that is Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. So, you may have heard about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. It was a Broadway musical based on Spider-Man, written by Julie Taymor, the woman who did Lion King musical, the movie Across the Universe, a couple other movies here and there. Very prolific director. Not so much anymore because of this musical. With music done by Bono and The Edge, from the Irish pop rock band U2, who you've probably heard of. And if you look up anything about this musical, you're gonna find articles about how it was a disaster, how like people got injured, there was actually a death in the production. People were injured because there was like actors flying around the stage, falling off of wires and shit. It like the script completely changed. It was a nightmare of a production. And that's what you're gonna hear about. But what you're not gonna hear about is the actual story of the musical, or anything about the actual music in the musical. And that's a fucking crime. So I'm gonna talk about it today because I actually saw this musical. In I think it was 2011 or 2012, I actually went to New York and saw a preview of this musical. And it was rad. I mean, it was messy, and like as a kid and a fan of Spider-Man, I was like, what the fuck is this? Is weird and different, and I don't know what's going on. But like after thinking about it, I was like, that was a really cool, like outsiders. It was like outsider art for Spider-Man, if that makes any sense. Let me explain. So, the story starts. Also, let me just state this real quick. There are two versions of the show. I saw the original version. There is a new version that's a very different, like, it's very different, like, it's very different from the version I saw. But I'm going to talk about the version I saw because Julie Taymor was primarily involved in that version, not the other version. I won't go into, like, the history. I'll go into a little bit of the history, but I'll talk about the story mostly, and the music. So, we start out with Spider-Man running on a bridge to save Mary Jane, and she falls. And you think, okay, we're starting right into the action. We're going there, and then, so that's a cold open. That was a cold open, and we cut to these four nerds who are the ones telling the story that we're watching right now. And they're basically they're writing Spider-Man fan fiction is what we're watching here. And one of them, the only girl of the group, mentions, Spider-Man wasn't the first human to get spider powers. That would actually be the Greek goddess Arachne. So we get an entire like soliloquy about the Greek goddess Arachne and how she created she weaved a fucking tapestry that was better than the one Athena made. Please put up my drawing of Athena from Epic the Musical here, just for that, just real quick, thank you. I'm gonna put her in the thumbnail too, so that like all the Epic fans who want new animatic's coming soon, by the way. I'm gonna make one soon. I'll talk about it later. So that they all click on this video. Hi, you're trapped here now. Anyway, so Athena shows up and she's like, hey, you can weave better than me, fuck you. And she rips up her tapestry, and Arachne fucking hangs herself. And Athena's like, oh shit, I didn't want you to do that. I'm gonna turn you into a spider now so you can weave forever. That's how it happens in Greek mythology. Anyway, we then cut to the story of Spider-Man, where Peter Parker before getting spider powers, he's giving a book report on Arachne. Now, he's in his like English class or whatever. He's giving a book report on Arachne. Then outside, Flash bullies him. You know, typical fucking Spider-Man fare. There's a song here. There's actually a couple songs in that segment that were not on the album. But there's a song here. I can't find it, obviously, because it's not on the album, and there's never been like a professional like shoot of this musical, which I think is a crime, because that's like erasure of history. But anyway, there's bootlegs out there you can watch, but they're not very good. Anywho, so then Mary Jane shows up and she's like, hey, sorry about my idiot boyfriend, blah blah blah, like let's walk home together. They kind of sing about how much their lives suck. That song is on the album. It's really fucking good. Then cut to what happens now? I don't even remember. Okay, there's like a science field trip to Oscorp. Norman Osborn is there, played by Patrick Page, who fucking plays I'm not a big Hell of a Boss fan, but my girlfriend is, and a bunch of my friends are, and she was watching the new episode, and I was like, hey, is that, I forget, I think it's like Satan or something, and it's like his voice sounds familiar, and it's fucking Patrick Page, so he's the Green Goblin here. Well, he's not the Green Goblin yet, but we'll get into it anyway. So they're talking about how like, hey, we're doing science stuff, we're genetically modifying animals, and we're gonna genetically modify humans to like live longer and like splice them with animal DNA, and it's gonna be great, it's gonna be awesome. And of course they're like, oh hey, check out this genetically modified spider. Oh no, it's escaped, where is it? And it bites Peter, blah blah blah, you know, whatever. Then it fucking cuts to the next day. Spider-Man's got powers now. Well, Peter, you know, he's not Spider-Man yet. He's got powers now, jumping all over the place. There's a really good song called Bouncing Off the Walls that's like, it's very U2. It sounds like Vertigo, that song by U2. But it's really good. Reeve Carney is the guy who plays Peter in the Broadway production, or the original Broadway production. He now plays Orpheus in Hadestown, and he's got that like himbo energy. He looks like Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet, like every protagonist from a Don Bluth movie. He's got that like 2000s webcomic like gamer hair going on. He looks like Ultimate Spider-Man Peter, and that's great. Also, the reason they included Arachne in this was because the only Spider-Man comic Julie Taymor had read was the initial, like the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, where Norman Osborn talks about the myth of Arachne. That lit the neurons in her brain, was like, that's where we're taking this. That's literally the reason. There's a book by the co-writer of the script, Glenn Berger, called, or Berger, I genuinely don't know. There's a book he wrote called Song of Spider-Man, and it's an amazing book, and it talks about the history of the show, and it's incredible because like every weird thing that happened in the production of this show, he explains it, and it's incredible. It's like, please, like if you're at all interested in this, please read it. It's really good. Anywho, so yeah, he gets bit by a spider. He has spider powers. He decides, I want to impress Mary Jane by getting a cool ass motorcycle, but I need money. So he does the wrestling thing. He fights Bonesaw, who in the fucking musical, instead of having a real actor, he's just a big like inflatable. He looks like a pool float, which is so weird. And like, also all the sets in Turn Off the Dark are like, they look like they came out of a pop-up book to kind of emulate that comic book style, and it looks cool, but it also looks really cheap, if that makes any sense. Like, it looks like a lot of it was done on the cheap, which is crazy because this thing had like a fucking $75 million budget or whatever. Like, it's nuts. Anyway, so yeah, there's that fight. He wins, doesn't get all the money, or no, he does get the money he wanted, but on the way home, he sees Flash Thompson get his car stolen. This is the whole Great Responsibility scene, by the way. It's a different interpretation of how it usually is. He sees Flash Thompson get his car stolen. He's like, fuck that guy, who cares? But then the guy stealing his car ends up hitting Uncle Ben. And Uncle Ben dies, obviously, yeah. Which, I don't really like, it kind of defeats the purpose of that whole thing, because, like, Uncle Ben wasn't really out there because of Peter. Like, the whole idea is that he brought Uncle Ben out there, Uncle Ben dies, or something happens with Uncle Ben before, he dies, between him and Peter, that kind of causes Peter to have regrets that are unresolved. But, like, nothing happened between them before this scene. So like it's not really his fault that Uncle Ben was out there. Anyway, so Peter has this song called Rise Above, because that's the last thing. Instead of saying great power, great responsibility, he just tells him to rise above. And there's a song called Rise Above, and it's really good. And he's kind of having this kind of emo moment where he's like, oh, I can't do what Uncle Ben wanted me to do. I can't be a hero. And then fucking Arachne comes down. Yeah, Arachne is real. In this universe, Arachne is real, and she's the one who gave Spider-Man the powers. And she's like, I'm gonna give you a super suit, and it's gonna be red. It's gonna be red to represent the what does she say? The lyrics are, every heart that bleeds will color your world red, and the sorrow in the night will be the blue you cannot shed. So that's why his suit is red and blue. By the way, the suit is fucking incredible. Put my fan art too, because I did some fan art of this, because the suit that they use in this show is fucking incredible and nobody talks about it. It's so good. It's like got these little pops of yellow and orange in it. It's like got faded kind of comic booky, like ink bleedy colors on it. Like the webs have like a white kind of, or like a yellow, like a bright yellow kind of white. I don't know what color it is, but it's got a bright color underneath it to make him stand out. The eyes are really big, like freaking Todd McFarlane, like comic book, like Spider-Man eyes. The spider logo itself looks all tribal. It just looks so fucking cool, and I want it to be in one of the newer games or something like that. I want it to be referenced somehow. I want Marvel to reference this musical outside of Deadpool mentioning it in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You know what I mean?
Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man. Gonna rough you up like a Broadway musical.
Because there's stuff here. There's stuff here that's good, and I want them to reference it. But anyway, we'll get into it. Spider-Man has a suit now, and he's swinging around, he's being a hero. There's a montage of him being a hero. Norman Osborn finds out about this. He's like, fuck, somebody stole my work and genetically modified themselves into a spider. I have to, like, get this... Well, he's also being pressured by the military. There's a really good song here. I remember my dad really liked this song, called Pull the Trigger. It's really good. Anyway, so the military's pressuring him to, like, keep doing his research. They're like, we want superhumans for the military now, and we want you to do it because the Spider-Man thing's happening and it's making you look bad, so you got to do something about it. So he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna genetically modify myself into a Green Goblin. So he does that. His wife dies. He's like, fuck, that's it. I'm crashing out. This is my Joker one bad day moment. Fuck this. He's a Green Goblin now. He has wings instead of a glider. That's interesting. And he decides to take all the other scientists who had previously quit. He believes that they were the one who stole his data, and he turns them into supervillains. This is actually something they added for the second version of this show, but I really like it, so I'm going to talk about it. He takes all the scientists and turned them into Spider-Man villains based on what they were, like, researching. So they had, like, a guy who was working on bugs. He turns into Swarm. They had a guy who was, like, their animal expert. He turns into Kraven the Hunter. There was their blood expert. He turned into Carnage. Which, by the way, the Carnage suit, all these villains look really good, by the way. Except the Lizard. There's the guy who's like, oh, he's the lizard, like, reptile expert. He turns into the Lizard, and he looks like one of those big... You remember those T-Rex costumes from, like, the 2010s that were really funny for, like, 5 seconds? It's just that, but green. There's Electro is there, too. He's, like, the electrician. Okay, yeah. Electro, Swarm, Carnage, Kraven the Hunter, the Lizard, the Green Goblin, and then there's a new villain. You think that that's enough, right? You got the Sinister Six, but no, there's a new villain. They made in the show. By the way, the nerds from before are narrating the whole show. They're the Geek Chorus. I didn't make that up. That's real. They're the Geek Chorus, like the Greek chorus, but they're geeks. Do you get it? Do you get it? Anyway, so the one girl of the group is like, I just made up a new villain, and her name is Swiss Miss. And she's this big fucking, like, she looks like the Statue of Liberty. She's made out of blades. I don't get it, but I want her to come back in, like, a Spider-Man comic, because that's really funny that there's this random character who exists for no reason, and I want her to come back in some way. Anyway, so Green Goblin makes all these new villains, They attack New York for a bit. Spider-Man fights them, typical Spider-Man shit. And then the Green Goblin dies. There's a big fight over the audience too. They're like flying all over the audience. It's really cool seeing it in person because Spider-Man's like leaping between. Like, no wonder people got fucking injured during the show because like there's so much aerial shit going on. He's leaping all over the place. He gets on the back of the Green Goblin, fucking rides him around like on his big wings. It's really cool. And then he dies. He fucking splats on the ground because there's a piano because he has a song. And he gets pulled off a building by a piano. Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of Act 1. And then we start, that's kind of weird, like, that's a big climactic fight, and it's the end of Act 1. In the redone version of the musical, that's the end of Act 2, like, that's the finale. Because, obviously, why would you put the fucking big climactic battle in the middle of the fucking show? Anyway, beginning of Act 2, Spider-Man's doing his thing. He's been doing it a little bit longer, but he can't keep up with, real life responsibility. It's typical Spider-Man shit. He starts having feelings like, maybe I should quit being Spider-Man. Maybe this isn't worth it. Arachne fucking comes to his dreams, which I know the wording there is a little bit weird, but like, I'm not kidding. She it's kind of implied that like Peter and Arachne, the Spider Lady, like have dream sex. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you listen to the song is called Turn Off the Dark.
Say that again?
It's the title song, and I really like it. But it's very, like, sensual, and, like, they're, like, floating around, and, like, she kind of looks like she's nude, and, like, it's very, like, intimate, this song, and this scene. And it's implied that they had, like, dream sex, I think. But anyway, he wakes up and he's like, okay, I'm gonna keep being Spider-Man, which Mary Jane doesn't like. They're kind of dating now. Yeah, anyway. So, but he decides, you know what, I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore because it's putting a damper on my relationship with Mary Jane. And Arachne's like, what the fuck? I gave you these powers. I gave you that costume. We had dream sex. No, you ain't getting away with this, buddy. She wants Spider-Man to, like, fall in love with her so that she can break her curse and die, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, she's like, fuck that. No, you can't walk away. There's a song that's not on the album because it wasn't in the final version. Yeah, so she traps Peter in like this world of illusions where all the villains come back and start like terrorizing New York, and he's like, fuck this, I gotta be Spider-Man again. Also, Mary Jane dies in that vision. That's where the clip, there's a clip of somebody falling, one of the Spider-Man stunt actors falling off of like a big thing because somebody forgot to clip him in. That's where that clip is from, of him falling. He's like, he dives to save Mary Jane, and fucking like, he's supposed to like freeze like in place, like just like time stops, but the actor wasn't clipped in. He fucking fell like 40 feet to the ground and like broke his neck. He's fine, by the way, and he luckily he didn't like sue the production. He was actually like pretty chill about it. But anyway, yeah, so that's where that clip is from. But what else happened? Yeah, so then there's a big song called Boy Falls from the Sky, which is like the big song from the musical. It was the first song that they released. It's really fucking good. All the music is really good. Go listen to the album. Like, it's actually incredible. Anyway, but anyway, then Peter realizes it's a big illusion. He fights Arachne on like a big web. He's trying to save Mary Jane. Arachne's like, either fall in love with me or kill me. There's no other option. And Peter's like, no. And Arachne's like, damn, I didn't think about it that way. And then she's like, okay, you can have Mary Jane. I'm just gonna, my curse is broken now, so I'm gonna send into like Greek heaven or whatever. And yeah, that's Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. And like, saying it out loud, it's a really, really messy plot. But like I said, it's like outsider art for Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It's like, because it's someone who has never read a Spider-Man comic or seen a obviously Julie Taymor has seen a Spider-Man movie. She kind of had to. It's actually funny, the production for this musical overlapped with the Raimi Spider-Man movies, right? So when I think Spider-Man 2 had come out, and Julie Taymor liked the interpretation of Otto Octavius more than she liked the interpretation of Norman Osborn in the first movie. So she basically just turned Norman Osborn into Otto Octavius in this musical. Their stories are very similar. They do an experiment on themselves and their wife dies and they go crazy because of it, which I found that very interesting. But yeah, it's just a very, like, there's so many interpretations of Spider-Man now, and there's so many different ways to tell that story. And recently, it's been a lot of the same. There's a lot of the multiverse stuff, the Spider-Verse stuff. It involves Miles Morales usually, which I love Miles Morales, but like there's all these different versions of Spider-Man coming around, and like it's usually all of the same, and like there's just a lot of Spider-Man stuff coming out now, and it's all very similar, very samey. So when something this batshit bonkers comes out and it's so different, I kind of appreciate it. You don't have to like this musical. I'm not telling you have to like it. It's weird, and it's like very different from how Spider-Man is usually told, but that's what I like about it. It's different. It's not like I feel like we need more of this, you know? We need new, fresh takes on these superheroes, because I'm gonna be real, that's the reason superhero fatigue is a thing. It's because we've seen these stories a billion jillion times, and they're all being retold in the same exact way, and they're all sanitized. No one's doing anything interesting with them anymore. Whenever somebody does something that's even a little bit interesting, everybody else does that. You know what I mean? So like, that's what I think we should learn to appreciate stuff like Turn Off the Dark, and I think Marvel should acknowledge it a little bit more to get some new eyes on it and maybe do something more with it. I highly doubt they're ever going to do another production of it again, but like, I don't know, I feel like there's not like, they didn't give it a chance. I think they didn't give it a chance to find its audience. They took the criticism, because it got like ripped to shreds when it first came out by Spider-Man fans, by Broadway critics, by pretty much everybody, and they didn't give it that chance, I don't think, and I think if they did give it a chance, it could find like a niche audience, and I hope it does get that, because I've seen some people talk about it a little bit more lately. I'm trying to talk about it more, but I'm just being annoying about it. But I hope, I don't know, I don't know what I hope. I just hope that, you know, enough eyes get on this musical that Marvel sees that and is like, maybe there was something there. Maybe there's something there. I want them to at least put the Spider-Man suit from the musical into like Spider-Man PS5 or whatever, like as DLC or in the next game or whatever. Just acknowledge it, you know? Just acknowledge it. That's all I gotta say. I don't know. The music is really good. You can check it out if you want. The album has most of the songs, but some of the songs just aren't on the album, which is a little disappointing. There's bootlegs of both versions of the show out there, but like I said, the quality's really shit. There's never been a professional recording of the show, which again is like a travesty, I think. Like, it's kind of lost media right now. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching.